Hi, I'm Tony, and welcome to my channel, Watch Time LA. Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing a watch that started out very near and dear to my heart. You see the logo on this box. As many of you know, my name is Tony, and I'm originally from Brooklyn, and what you see right there is an image of the Brooklyn Bridge, or part of it anyway. I'll pan out and see that I was intrigued by this brand, the Brooklyn Watch Company. Supposedly started out in Brooklyn several years ago. They have a blurb on their website about how they came to be and why they came to be. It's obviously a micro brand like many of the other ones that popped up. And I just had to have one. You know, I have some Brooklyn t-shirts, a Brooklyn hat, and I'm living in LA right now and have been for, since 1979 or so. But I just saw this thing and I just fell in love with it. I looked at the color, I just liked everything about it. It's a quartz watch, so I know a lot of you don't like quartz watch. They do make a few automatics now, but I'll get into the brand in a little bit. Anyway, just want to get into this fairly quickly. I'll get into why these papers are here in a minute. I've had the watch now for about 6 months. When it came to me, it was a quartz watch, like I said. Came exactly like you see right here. Brooklyn logo. The watch, I was very impressed with the color. I didn't realize it was as big as it was. I learned when I started in this hobby to start really paying attention to case sizes, and that case sizes can look different on different people in different situations. I have a 7 1/4 inch wrist, maybe a little bit bigger. So I can get away with a little bit of a bigger watch, but I'm, you know, my age, I was used to wearing, I had watches that were 30 millimeters at one time. But back to this watch. It came very simply packaged, very elegantly packaged, I thought. So a quick look into the box, very simple. The box says, let's focus in here. The box is made in China. I don't know why they would even put that on there. It just wouldn't take it off. Just seems weird. Anyway, so it comes with the international warranty card. No, there's nothing on there as far as, you know, serial numbers or anything like that. It says the company was established in 2012. And although I bought it on Amazon, it was evidently sold through Jama Shop. And that's it for the box. Not much else to talk about there. I'm going to get into the pricing here at the end of the video. So stay tuned for that. I love the color. I love the very large numerals. When I took the watch out, of course, it had the little, oops, stuck here. It had the little crown spacer in there, as many quartz watches do. And, you know, for shipping and for, you know, so the watch isn't running while it's not being, before it's been sold. Saves on the battery. Pulled the little plastic piece out, pushed the crown in, nothing. Pulled it out, pushed it in, gave it a little tap, turned it over, nothing. So of course, I popped the back off, which is a screw down case back. By the way, love, love, love the logo on the back. It's nicely engraved in there. But the battery was completely dead. And, you know, I have batteries, so it wasn't a big deal. I popped the battery and it started working, and it has been working ever since. And because I bought this on Amazon, I sent them a note. I said that the battery wasn't working, and this had an odd size, and at the time I didn't have it, so I ran to Radio Shack of all places. There's still one of those available around here, and I paid $6 for a battery, which I now get for about 25 cents, since I found other sources. and Amazon promptly refunded me when I sent them the receipt. So, you know, they lived up to their thing. Now, I don't know whether this is supposed to be a pilot watch, a field watch, exactly what it's supposed to be, but I love the cream color dial. Love the small second hand. Has an enormous crown on it. But it fits the case pretty well. Case is brushed, very nicely brushed. You know, it's not a Rolex, but there's a couple of spots on it where you can see have some little pits. So it's not perfect. Overall, I was impressed with the band. It was everything I thought it was. And I'll go into this one more time. I don't care if a watch is a quartz watch or an automatic watch or a manual wind watch or really how expensive it is. The watch has to speak to me. It has to have some sort of meaning. And this one, you know, it hit all of those check marks for me. Plus the color I thought was perfect. This is a great casual watch here in sunny Southern California, except for this year. You know, it doesn't rain sometimes for 6 or 8 months at a time, and it's beautiful weather, and it's a lot of times I'm wearing shorts and t-shirts, and this is a perfect complement to that. This is not a watch I wear at work. I've never worn it at work. Have other watches for that. But anyway, let's get into I'll get into some of the issues with this watch, but let's get into some of the details first. Again, this is made by the Brooklyn Watch Company. It is their Lafayette line. By the way, they have quite a few lines for a micro brand. And even within the Lafayette line, they have a bunch of different colors. To me, this was the best of the bunch. Their model number is CLA-g. And believe it or not, it came with a scratch-resistant sapphire crystal, which I was pretty surprised about. Has, like I said, a brushed stainless steel case, and they're calling this 44 millimeters, and I just want to verify that for you guys. I have not done this before on this watch, and I'm coming in at 43.9. They're saying it's 12.8 millimeters. That's very thick for a quartz watch. You would think with the size of this case, you could easily get an automatic movement in there, maybe even with a complication or two. So it comes in at just about under 13. The bandwidth is a 22. So you got a lot of options for straps on this thing. Let's do a lug-to-lug measurements, which, by the way, I haven't done before. We're coming in at, let's see, 53. It's kind of big. 53 lug-to-lug. And it has simple spring bars for the band. And like I said, you could put pretty much anything on there. It is genuine leather. They also have their logo or something stamped in there. I'm not quite sure what that is. Again, the dial color is a tan or an off-white, whatever you want to call it. And it has a Swiss movement in it with the tiny little second hand. And it's 100 meters or 330 feet water resistance, which is hard to believe for this watch. It does not have a screw down crown. It's just a pull in, push out type of crown. And finally, it has the only complication, really, I don't know if you call it complication, you have the minute, hour for functions anyway, and the small sub-dial at 6 o'clock. You have 3 very large numbers, and everything else is just slashes on the indices. None of these indices are applied. They're all painted on, or I'm not quite sure how they do it. And of course, my favorite part of the watch is the Brooklyn B in the logo. Let's look at the back of the watch. Kind of almost looks like a Yankee or Mets kind of thing, but they did I like the logo. I think it's great. And it has a Ronda caliber 1069 movement. And if you've seen any of my reviews before, you know that we're going to be opening up this watch and taking a peek inside at the movement. The band, you know, I think it's going to hold up. I was a little disappointed. It's very soft, so it conforms to the wrist very easily. Although it's thick, it's very soft. But it did kind of wrinkle up pretty quickly. That was not like that when I originally started wearing it. So you see the wrinkles in there. So I'm not sure exactly how long this band is going to hold up. It kind of looked like that when I took it out of the box. Now, one other interesting point before we get into the close-ups. I wore this one day. Oh, I've worn it a bunch of times, but I went into my watch case one day and I went to pull it out, and I thought there was a hair on it, but it turns out there was a hairline crack through the sapphire crystal from the 8 to the 2, straight across. And I was like, no, I don't remember hitting it. As you can see, there's not another mark on this watch. I've never hit it, I've never dinged it. But you know anything about sapphire crystals, especially one that is, let's see how wide this sapphire crystal is. So the sapphire crystal is a huge 38 millimeters. That's a really big crystal. Sapphire or mineral glass. And as you know, sapphire, although it's more scratch resistant, is definitely more brittle. But I could not remember even scraping the watch because there was no mark on it other than the crack. So I contacted the Brooklyn Watch Company through their website form, and I said, hey, I got this watch. I've had it for about 6 months. I went to my watch case and the crystal was cracked and I cannot find any damage on the watch. Can you help me? And they said, sure, send it back. And I said, okay. So I shipped it to them. Kind of forgot about it actually for a while. 3 weeks later, I got it back with a brand new sapphire crystal. So I have to say, as far as customer service, absolutely excellent. I don't know any other watch company that would have jumped at that. So yeah, I could have done the crystal myself, but this is a very large crystal and it would have cost some money. But anyway, let's go into some close-ups. Give me a minute here and we'll switch views and we'll get way down in. Okay, I hope you weren't looking forward to seeing a finely finished Rolex or other type of movement, but this is your standard Ronda Swiss movement. And as you can see here, it has 2 jewels that we're looking at this at about 15 to 20x magnification. There is no dirt on this movement. What you're seeing is the movement itself. When I pull it close, I'm going to do actually, this is way too close to really look at this movement, but I'll pull it back out and you can see in a different view what it looks like from afar. It really doesn't look so good up close. This is the new battery that I installed, and I anticipate it will last at least a year. And there is the entirety of the movement. Now it says Swiss parts. That's important because that doesn't necessarily mean Swiss assembled. So when they say Swiss parts, many times it means that the movement was assembled elsewhere. It doesn't say on this particular watch where. Could have been anywhere. It could have been China, Taiwan. It could have been in Switzerland, but I sincerely doubt that. Now, this watch is so big and this movement is so small, you're going to see all the real estate between the movement and the end of the case. There's the crown. Okay, that's the crown I showed you earlier. And there's the entire movement. So the crown is about half the size of the movement. Movement's pretty tiny. So there's a lot of real estate here. Basically what you're paying for in this watch is, you know, the materials, sapphire, stainless steel, and, you know, I guess you're paying a little bit for the name and the style. Let's take a close-up of the case. You know, it's rough finished. You know, it's not. There's good points and bad points about this type of finish. It's kind of hard to scratch, and if it does scratch, it's hard to see the scratches. So there's that. We'll take a lap, and then I'm gonna flip it over. Take a better look at the crown. We'll try and, you know, this is probably cast, I assume. You can see, you know, close-ups. There's the case material. So as far as finish goes, just not so good. It doesn't look like that when you're looking at it with the naked eye though. I'm gonna flip it over. Let's see what the finish looks like on the other side. But before I do that, I wanna bring this watch back over here so you can see what the movement looks like. Now I wanted to show you what the movement looks like without the magnification. So there's the movement. There's the crown. See if you can, giant crown compared to movement, and the stem is extremely long. And because we have such an enormous amount of real estate, we have this gigantic spacer in here. Sorry, I'm reaching around the camera, makes it a little difficult from time to time. So that's what it looks like with the spacer in it. A lot of empty real estate. I'm going to put the case back on and we're going to look at the dial. Okay, so now we're looking at the face again at around 15 to 20x magnification. We can see the logo and the Brooklyn name is painted on. It does have significant bleeding. Now sometimes you'll see, if it's a heavily textured dial, you'll see some bleeding that's inevitable and there's no way to correct. But this is a pretty flat dial. So this bleeding that you see here, you can see here on the O, and actually see some areas. By the way, I cleaned this dial very well. So what you're seeing is what you're seeing. There's some deformities in the letters. There's some hollow spots. And I don't know whether you see how it narrows here. Looks like it was stamped on there, to be honest with you. Instead of painted on it, it looks like it was just stamp. The indices look like they were applied a little bit better, and they don't have any real significant bleed. Same thing with those indices. By the way, I've seen very expensive watches. I know I've mentioned this many times. I've seen very expensive watches with some significant bleed on painted on areas. So let's take a look at the small second hand. I'm going to have to refocus every once in a while. So it almost looks like a felt finish on the hand. I don't know how else to explain it. You can see the little white, maybe you can see the little white flecks on there. We'll look at the hour hand. Again, if you see what I'm talking about, there's like little white flecks on there. Well, like I said, it almost looks like a felt type of finish. But overall, you know, they look pretty good. For this type of watch, you know, looks pretty good. So this is a Swiss movement, not Swiss parts. So maybe it was all made in Switzerland, I don't know. I have no way of knowing one way or the other. Let's look at the case. I wiped the case off, and I'm going to make sure that it's clear here. So, you know, the case is not finished very well. There's some significant pitting. As we go around, we do a lap. You know, to the eye, it looks kind of cool. I mean, I know it's a cheaper way to finish the case, but it looks kind of cool to the eye. It gives it a little bit more of a retro look, or maybe a worn look. But you can see this was not finely polished. And if they had tried to do that, I think it would have been and this watch, it would have been a total disaster. Okay, not that you can't do this yourself, but if you go to the brooklynwatchcompany.com, it's actually brooklynwatchco.com. Here's the URL right here. And you click on their Lafayette section, you will see that they have several different models. You'll see they're all priced at $495. As far as their collections go, they have casual, Cadman, DeKalb, Florence, Lafayette, Willoughby. Some of these are little boroughs in Brooklyn. Some of them are streets in Brooklyn. Some of them, I'm not quite sure what they are. Obviously, Floyd in Dakota, Prince, Slim, and then let's see the sports watches. I don't remember seeing these. So here we got $395. It looks like they got into the dive watch thing here. Now, one thing I want to tell you about Brooklyn watches, I paid exactly $93 for this on Amazon. Since then, they've come down considerably. In fact, you can find the watch right now on Jama Shop for $69, which is 86% off. It kind of reminds me of the whole Invicta thing. $1,495 for a watch you can get for $99 on Amazon. I don't think they meant to do that. I think they probably started out thinking they were going to get all the money for them. And the fact that this came with a dead battery told me that this probably laid on somebody's shelf for a very long time. Remember, the battery died without ever being used. And it had a Sony battery in it, I think, or a Renata battery. So, you know, these things are sitting around. And I think even Jama Shop, I've seen them as low as much as 90% off. So as far as the pricing goes, you can get a good deal on these watches if, of course, you want one. Now, this is strictly my opinion, and I have no first-hand knowledge of this one way or the other. But because of the pricing of these and the way that they're being discounted at some 90% off, my guess is that this is a watch company that is not doing too well. Again, coupled with the fact that this came with a dead battery, it must have been laying around for an enormous amount of time. I don't know how long Brooklyn Watch Company is going to be around. You know, I don't know if they're going to survive or not, but there's a lot of indicators to me that they might be in trouble. Again, I don't know this for a fact. It's strictly my opinion based on the dead battery, the incredible price reductions at 90%. It's almost like a fire sale. But they're still in business. You know what? If they stick around, I wish them the best of luck. I hope they succeed. And I hope the brand does well in the future. But, you know, from an outsider's perspective, it looks like they might be in a little bit of, you know, a bind here. So what's my opinion on this watch? I really like it. I like the style of it. I kind of like the size of it. I think I paid $93 for it. Obviously, I can get it for $70 right now. I think at $70, it's a steal. It's all stainless steel, and it's a big hunk of stainless steel. The colors, you know, the name, the identity with Brooklyn. Again, you know, I am a cliche. I'm Tony from Brooklyn, right? I can't help who I am. But, you know, I just enjoy this watch. And I probably wear it more than any other casual watch. Of course, when I'm not knocking around the house. I don't want to destroy it because a crystal this size, especially a sapphire crystal, it's kind of like carrying around a big mirror with you that doesn't have any support. It's going to break. You're going to crack it, and I have a feeling that's going to be the same with this. I like the look, like the style. I think that this strap is not going to last. It looks like it's probably going to start coming apart here pretty quickly. Again, I think it's been laying around. Oh, by the way, look at that signed clasp here. Clasp is all stainless steel. You know, like I said, it's not a bad watch. It's definitely a statement watch. It's a quartz watch. And I know there's a lot of people out there that won't be caught dead with one, but again, I just like the watch. I think it's a good deal. I have no regret buying it. And I might not believe this, but if I didn't own one and I saw that deal on Jama Shop, I'd probably buy it again. So anyway, I hope you like this review and all of my reviews. Please look at the rest of them. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. Put them in the comments or questions field. If you like what I'm doing with my reviews and you would like me to keep doing these reviews, then please subscribe. The more subscribers I have, the more likely I am to do these. I have a bunch more watches to review, and as I find time, I will do them. And until next time, thank you very much, and enjoy your watches.